How's it going, guys, and welcome to your SmackDown review. And before we get to the show, I'm so happy that AEW is getting demoted. Yeah, after everyone, all their little things, all excuses, it's all about demographics, all these weirdo demographics, these huge, massive gaps in the demographics, like 18 to like 50 years old or something like that. Whatever the case may be, it was a complete joke. And, people are just not going to get it. Either they're watching the show or they're not. And people are not watching. They just simply aren't. You go on their YouTube videos, and I've already done that. I did the top 10 most watched, and it's not that impressive. So, if you got low YouTube views and you got low ratings, demographics ain't going to save you. And if they were doing that well, do you really think that they would push AEW off of TNT? No, they'd hold on to it. Do you think if they were pulling in old WCW Nitro numbers that they'd be throwing them on TBS? No, they wouldn't. You know what they would do? They would maybe work out a deal like what they did with Nitro and Thunder, and have one show be on TNT and the other be on TBS. But no, now they're going to have two shows, and they're going to put it on TBS. And because TBS is a channel it's a throwaway channel. They've had some original series, but for years and years, it's always been repeats. It's always been things that are in syndication. That's all it really was for. You would see Seinfeld on there. You'd see Friends, repeats of older shows. It was a good channel at the time, but like now TBS is kind of like a forgotten channel. There's nothing really to speak of on there. And now you're going to have AEW on there. And Tony Khan, of course, is celebrating this like it's good news. Like they had some great deal. It's like, no, it wasn't a great deal. You got demoted because your show is trash. And they don't want to get rid of it because it still does better than some other shows. But because, they got the NBA and now they got NHL. So that's what it was. And even hockey gets better numbers, even though it's like the lowest rated sport. So he's getting his ass kicked off TNT. That's the headline right there. Not, oh, I got a great deal. Tony Khan didn't get a great deal. Tony Khan got thrown off of TNT. That's the real story, folks. And, Tony Khan, this guy, he loves to copyright people. He's even copyrighted some friends of mine in the wrestling juggernauts, which is just, completely asinine. Like, first of all, no one's profiting. I think some of the videos, maybe they might be monetized. I don't know. But, like, no one's going to big time, profit off of small little bits and clips of Tony Khan's content. That's totally ridiculous. You saw what this guy did on Twitter with that embarrassing, exploding death match ring. That was, can you believe it? That was more of a cover-up. This guy, for someone that says, oh, I'm for the fans, I'm for the talent, and, he's going to be the complete opposite of Vince McMahon. I think he's proven that he's way more petty than Vince McMahon. I think this guy has a bigger ego than Vince McMahon, if that's even possible. I think that it is. But the thing is, it's like what no one seems to understand is Tony Khan just looks like a pathetic little goof, pretending to be a boss, and all he's doing is running around with his daddy's money, and he's not even spending it well. He's spending it all on a bunch of indie nobodies, and, this is the other thing we have to then lead into. WWE is working at an agreement with New Japan. Now, I think they had a deal. I think it was All Japan, if I'm not mistaken. And we got to see guys like the great Suzuki. What was it? The great Suzuki. We got that guy. We had Taka Michinoku. And, this is like, I don't really want to see it. Because I don't like the style of New Japan. I said this time and time again. That's the style with all the near falls and the roll-up finishes after doing 1,000 near falls. All that bullshit is from Japan. And they brought it over to the States, and they called it Strong Style and everything. And, you know, that was the beginning of the end for wrestling here in the States, where it's gotten taken over by this, you know, this bootleg version of wrestling. You know, maybe that version of wrestling might work over there, and some people enjoy it, but I don't. So they're going to work out some kind of agreement. And the thing is, like, this agreement is obviously better than the agreement that AEW has with Impact. You know, and you also have Jericho and Matt Hardy trying their damnedest to try to put over Kenny Omega as the champion, because they see that this guy as champion is a total nobody. This was supposed to be the savior of professional wrestling. I remember people in my comments were even saying years ago, oh, you got to check out Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega. And, you know, Kenny Omega is just, you know, the most pathetic excuse for a star I've ever seen. Now, this guy was billed as being like one of the best. And I remember years ago, people were pulling for him to sign with WWE. Thank God he didn't. This guy, first of all, he doesn't look like a star. He doesn't sound like a star. There's nothing about how he wrestles or anything that's good. You know, he does a bunch of Japanese style moves, and there's nothing appealing about this guy. There's nothing in his matches that makes me want to watch this guy, and there's nothing on screen. He's not larger than life. He's got really stupid looking hair. He's got just a goofy face, that, you know, and he acts like a goof. Duh! Doing this fake Cactus Jack nonsense. And, you know, you put him with Don Callis, which, you know, that's a guy that knows how to talk, but they're putting him with him because they know he can't talk. And I've heard people were saying for years and years that this guy knew how to cut a promo, knew how to cut a good promo. Well, here he is in AEW, where they supposedly don't script the promos, and the promos suck. So I don't know what everyone's been talking about all this time, but Kenny Omega, he just sucks. He does, and that's a matter of fact right there. And Jericho is saying that he's one of the best ever right now, and so is Matt Hardy. And they're like, oh, you know, if you disagree, you're like, you know, they're calling you an idiot, like a moron, a goofball. And this all came, what did this all stem from? Because JR said that Randy Orton is the best right now. And I think that's a pretty smart analysis from JR. Because Randy, as far as who's left, that is kind of the biggest star right now. It truly is. I mean, you know, you could argue and say Roman Reigns, but, you know, in my opinion, yeah, Randy is better. You look back at Randy's body of work, and they might have dropped the ball with him for a few years, you know, just doing pointless shit with him. And they basically wasted him at the last WrestleMania with just a total head scratcher right there. I don't even know what that was supposed to be. And now, you know, JR's speaking the truth. And Jericho and Matt Hardy, his co-workers, are getting mad at him. And I just find this hilarious that JR is getting a payday. Tony Khan is paying this man through the teeth, and he's just visibly bored. You hear it in his voice. He doesn't like what he's watching. He doesn't like what he's commentating. He doesn't even like being there. The only reason he probably likes being there is he's getting paid good money. But to watch complete garbage, that's probably torturous for the man who's sat at ringside watching some of the greatest stuff of all time. You got to imagine this guy is sat there through it all. I mean, he sat there pretty much for the entire 90s and for a good part of the 2000s. This guy has seen, you know, pretty much almost all of the 2000s. The guy has seen everything that the WWE had to offer that was the best and considered the best moments of all time. He was right there for Mick Foley and Undertaker at Hell in the Cell. He was there at ringside for all the Rock and Stone Cold matches at WrestleMania. All those classic Royal Rumbles. All those classic SummerSlams. You name it. So I think the guy knows what he's talking about. But Jericho and Matt Hardy think that they could, like, somehow, you know, make these posts on Twitter and everyone's just going to be, oh, yeah, well, I don't want to be considered a know-nothing. You know, like, these guys are the authority on what's the best. I mean, Jericho is a legend, no doubt. And people, you know, they're making fun of him and everything. But I will say, you know, I look back and was even watching like an old episode of Raw over on Peacock, and Jericho is just always was just on the ball and just great. You want to talk about a huge star. I mean, the guy pretty much fits the bill, but in AEW, he's just not getting it done. This is not the platform for him. I think he tries the best he can, but I mean, he's just in an environment that it's just a recipe for disaster. Anyway, so we've got a huge mess with AEW and just so much politics and all for Kenny Omega. Like, who gives a shit about that guy anyway? You'd go to bat that hard for him? I get it's your company and you want to sell your champion as hard as you can, but you're like visibly trying to throw JR's opinion under the bus when it's probably 20 times more valuable, because this guy was the head of talent relations. He was responsible for hiring some of the very best we've ever seen. Without JR, we wouldn't have an Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression Era. We wouldn't see all this amazing talent if it wasn't for JR. Then we got to talk about Cardi B, this rumor, which is probably true because you saw the stuff on Twitter. You heard the mentions. Cardi B hosting SummerSlam. And this is getting a lot of mixed reactions and everything. And, you know, where do I stand on it? I don't think it's going to move the needle either way. Did it move the needle either way for Bad Bunny? That when they put him on WrestleMania, did anyone give a flying shit? Did anyone like rush over? Did it get ratings? No, it didn't. Just because you have a celebrity on, this doesn't really matter anymore as much as it did back in the day, because these celebrities, they're not cool and a lot of people don't like them. You know, like when you had Mike Tyson on, people flooded in because pretty much everybody liked Mike Tyson. Even people that didn't like boxing, were big boxing fans such as myself. You know, they sensed a massive appeal in Mike Tyson, larger than life guy that commanded your attention. You got Cardi B, and she's just a hoe for show. I mean, this is a singer that she has her fan base, and it is a considerable fan base, and I think we have to, be reasonable here that Cardi B is considerably more popular than Bad Bunny. I think all that download shit on Spotify is BS. Because, first of all, I had never even heard of the guy. Think about this for a minute. You might say, oh, well, you're just an out-of-touch white guy there, Brad. Well, the thing is, got to say something here that I've heard of Cardi B years before I heard of Bad Bunny. This is what I'm saying. So, if I've heard of Cardi B and I never heard of Bad Bunny before, what does that tell you? That Cardi B has way more appeal. More people around me talked about Cardi B. She showed up on TV. She showed up on YouTube. She showed up on the internet, on pages, on Facebook, on Instagram. People reposting her pictures. I never seen anybody posting a Bad Bunny song, posting pictures of Bad Bunny. Didn't see as many Bad Bunny fan pages. Because I think, because Cardi B's more popular. And for some reason, the downloads doesn't really match up. So I have to say this is definitely a better catch for them. But, everybody knows about Cardi B's history. I mean, let's just, pretty much say it. This is someone that drugged men and robbed them. And she never had to answer for it ever. When people of, similar crimes did. So, when I look at her and I see her, on a show that I used to like, a show that I watch, I'm not too happy about it, but, I get why they would want to have her there. She creates controversy. Controversy creates cash. So, okay. So, I'm not really opposed to it. I don't like it, but I could see why they do it. And I'm not going to, jump up and down like a maniac. Oh, this is horrible. I'll leave that to all the other Mamalukes here on YouTube and, on the internet. You know, let the what culture simps, you know, let them, like, do all that stuff. I ain't doing it. But, yeah, do I like Cardi B? No. I just called her a hoe. So, you know. What else can I say here before we go on to SmackDown? Kofi Kingston is being shoved into the world title picture on Raw. And now you know why we just reviewed SmackDown. I mean, I watched the match with Drew and Kofi, and it might have ended in a double DQ, a no contest, whatever you want to call it. Why are they persistently trying to get Kofi back into this position? You had the guy get squashed by Brock. You realized that the title run was trash. That was a total waste of time. He was shoehorned into WrestleMania several years ago, and now they're going to try to repeat that same mistake again after they cemented him as a tag team wrestler. Now we're being told again that this guy is on par with Drew. He was on par with Drew during the match. Drew is towering over the man, can outpower him, is twice the size of him, so much more muscular, and how the hell is he hanging in the ring there with Drew McIntyre? I'm watching this is complete bullshit. He's going to step in there, and it's apparently going to be, at Hell in a Cell, probably a triple threat match. You're going to have him in there with Bobby Lashley, someone even more jacked. Are you telling, you know, and the thing is, you know, I get it why they did it at Mania. You know, they wanted to have that first, you know, fully black WWE champion. You know, The Rock wasn't good enough, people said, so to shut those people up, they finally gave it to the fans. Kofi Mania. You know, what was the Mania about? Usually Mania, like Hulkamania, that would indicate that many people are watching. No one was watching Kofi Mania. I can guarantee you that. You can look at the ratings. They were even lower than normal because of Kofi Mania, which people demanded. For, you know, who was demanding it? All the smarks, basically. Give us Kofi Mania. Because what culture was demanding Kofi Mania? Because JD was demanding Kofi Mania? Give me a break. You know, so, and this is when they had Kofi, they had Lashley already signed, by the way, and he was already set up in matches with, like, Reigns and everybody, where he could have been accepted as being a world champion. But what happened? They let Kofi go first, and now we're gonna have Kofi in there hanging with Lashley. There's no need for Kofi. You have your black champion already, Bobby Lashley, and a worthy champion, and a champion I am happy that they have, because Lashley, it looks like a champion. This is a star. It's something that I asked for. They might not be using him effectively enough where it's exciting, but, you know, if anyone deserves to have the belt, it is Lashley. And I said that I hope that he held on to it at Mania, and he did. But just get Kofi out of there. This is nonsense already with him. No one is buying this. And I even saw, there's, you know, people, even on YouTube, were saying, do not put Kofi in there. But they're going to anyway, because there's still people asking for it. Anyway, let's get into the show. So we start off, we've got Roman back there with the Usos, and, you know, Roman is a bit, like, you could tell a little bit, you know, is not fully 100% behind this Usos reunion. Even, you know, Jay is looking a bit skittish. And, you know, Jimmy's all fired up. So we go to the ring, and we've got the Street Profits, and they've got to be as annoying as possible. I don't know what it is. You know, this is like what all these people are doing. Bailey, Seth Rollins, and the Street Goofs. They're all the same. They all do the same kind of promo. They're all, first of all, you know, you want to project. That is something that I complained about. You know, also there's certain wrestlers that they just don't put any bass in their voice. But, you know, there's a difference between that and this. Just being really loud and really obnoxious and not even really having a thought get across here. first of all, they're trying to do a story here with not even having a story. There was no reason to have this match. It's just a way of getting the Usos back into tag title contention. So they're putting them in there randomly with the Street Goofs. And so they try to have the story here all in this one promo. So what do? They just have the Street Profits, you know, Montez being just a big moron, screaming, making faces and bulging his eyes out and stuff. You know, he was wearing glasses, but, you know, you could see his face is all, like, you know, stretching out and everything. And he's making fun of the theme songs, making fun of the old entrance back from the early, you know, 2010s, you know, like from like 2013 when they used to do the tribal chant coming out. And, you know, okay, like, what is even being said here? Is this insulting? No, it really isn't. Like really, what is the common thought here in this promo? What are they trying to convey? All it is just a bunch of, you know, clowns just fucking around. That's basically all you could really say. And then you have the Usos coming out, and, you know, it's not much better. You could tell that they're definitely more honed in their skills, as you would hope. But, you know, they're trying to tell this story here, and there's nothing here. Like, they're trying to have beef. They're trying to create heat between them. But they're just like shoehorning a reason in there to fight. And there is no story. Like, the story should have already been made before they got these guys in the ring. But they're like trying to insult each other. And it's like, this is like not how real human beings would insult each other. Making fun of someone's old entrance. Like, is this what passes as like, you know, back in the day, there used to be like some real beef. There used to be something like I'm watching, you know, like the build up to Judgment Day 2001, and you have Jericho peeing in William Regal's tea. Well, that's a reason to get mad at somebody. Well, you're not getting that here. Oh, you made fun of my entrance. Ooh, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna give you such a pinch. I mean, it's just terrible. It's just awful that this is what we get. Like, just, it's so lackluster. I mean, really, like, there's nothing here. There's nothing tangible. There's nothing concrete. There's no substance here. We've got Tamina and Natalya defeating the Riot Squad, and this is just like, you've got tag champs here. There's no reason for them to have the belts. They just threw these two together with just no explanation. It's just like, hey, you know, these are two girls that are going nowhere on the roster, so, you know, we might as well just put them together. That's what you get. You just get, and they've done this periodically, and I've said this time and time again. Did I not say this? I don't know how long it was, like just a year ago or so. I said Natalya's like that one wrestler where they just get for a random title reign. And they did that with the women's title with her not too long ago, didn't they? It wasn't like 2 years ago where they put her in title contention. Something like that. I don't quite remember. She was in the title picture, okay? So instead of title picture, we get tag title picture instead. So it's the same thing. Oh, yeah, let's just give her something to do. And Tamina, it's so sad that she has been on this roster for over 10 years. Something like 11 years even. I think she was hired in 2010. Same time as the Usos. And at least the Usos could at least say they've done stuff to get, you know, they've done quite a bit. Maybe it's not as substantial as it really should be and probably would have been during any other era. But, you know, Tamina, I've said, like, I think Tamina's good. I think she has the look of a star. I mean, she's Jimmy Snuka's daughter, and I know I've said time and time again that, you know, you have plenty of David Flairs out there. And we're going to talk about the biggest David Flair in the main event of this show, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. Hint, Dominik. But, you know, not all children and offspring from wrestlers are successful. But Tamina actually seems like she has the potential, but like we've never had anything with her. Like, you think back of like what has this girl done in all the time she's been there? And I think they finally thought the same thing. Like, we better give her a title or something. I mean, they made her bodyguard. She was even teaming with Nia Jax at one point. So she's been on a real wild ride. And by wild, I mean just all over the place with really no memorable moments. That's pretty much it. There's been no memorable moments with Tamina. I don't think anyone could really pinpoint a really good or memorable Tamina moment. I mean, the one I think about is, I think it took place during one of the Royal Rumbles. Maybe it was the 2018 one, the first one, where she was like face to face with Nia Jax. And I think I'd even said like, oh, that's something I'd like to see happen. But, you know, that was something I think they just put them in a team instead, which I was like, all right, and then that was botched. They were in completely opposite teams, and just Natalya and Tamina, it's just like, it's not even a good mix. And the Riot Squad, like, this is like a team where it's just being held together with like paper clips and chewing gum. You know, Sarah Logan's not there, and not like that's a big, huge, massive loss or anything like that. But, like, is there any value in Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan? Especially now that they don't have Billie Kay there making things interesting for them. And that's the thing. I think I had said this. How is it that they got rid of Billie Kay and still held on to these girls? When really, in reality, these four girls, in my opinion, I said Billie Kay was more entertaining than all of them. More entertaining than Nia Jax, than Shayna Baszler. There was more value in that. Because you go from just being bored out of your mind with these girls to being entertained and laughing at Billie Kay's antics. And, you know, I don't know what they were seeing. You know, I guess she wasn't the athlete that we're supposed to admire. I don't know, but that's my opinion on it anyway. Really just a pointless match here. There's no point in this, you know, like, these are the tag champs now. So why are they even wrestling like this, really this Z-list team? Probably because there's no other teams. There shouldn't even be women's tag belts because there's no women's tag teams to begin with. Then we had Adam Pearce backstage. He suddenly reappeared, Mr. Excitement, and he makes a tag match for next week. It's going to be the Usos versus the winners of the match tonight, you know, which is going to be for the tag belts. Ray and Dominik versus the Dirty Dogs. Adam Pearce, you know, like I said, just total excitement. Mr. Monotone, the worst authority figure ever. We're not going to get into it that much. Then we've got Bianca Belair, or Belanca, as Michael Cole had called her. And I don't, you know, first of all, it was just a little botch, and everyone was like making a big deal out of this little botch, and they were all saying, "Oh, I liked how Bayley called them out on commentary." First of all, like, I'm not really like laughing my ass off here about, oh, Michael Cole said the wrong thing. First of all, Bianca Belair's like name isn't even worth even remembering, quite frankly. I know a lot of people like to say that it is. I'll tell you this. I think that Montez Ford and her are probably the perfect match because they're both so annoying to me. I actually don't know who I can't stand more. Probably Montez Ford. But, you know, with her coming down, and it's really, you know, probably because I didn't watch her in NXT, but now that I'm watching her flipping his hair around and everything, I know I've said I like the girl's strength. I think that, you know, there are some impressive attributes about her, but she comes off as such a child. You know the little rant I did, and I did it maybe more than once the past few weeks, where I talked about the women now versus the women of yesteryear. The women of, like, say, the Ruthless Aggression, the Attitude Era. You know, I said Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler, all these girls. And you think back to those girls, and then you look at these girls, just put them side by side. Go on Google Images and Google photos of them, and just really look at these girls, and just, you'll see, like, look at the faces and everything, and they're so much more mature looking. Like, these actually look like women that you'd want to date. These look like women that you'd want to be with. And then you look at these girls, and they're just like, there's something about these girls where they're not ugly, but they're just not attractive in that same way. It's hard to put into words because it's like there's nothing about them. I think that's it. Like, there's no, like, sex appeal about them. It's just like, these are just girls, and they just come, oh, I'm so happy to be here. That's the whole thing you get from Bianca Belair, because she's just always smiling, just acting goofy. And I'm saying, even the girls that weren't, like, heralded for their amazing athleticism, like Tori Wilson and everything, I don't know. And I look at all these other women's wrestlers, and I don't see anything that's so amazing that people are praising them for. Like, there's some type of godlike athletes. I don't get, the work is sloppy. It doesn't look good. Even the work even looks a lot worse than even some of the men that are not that good. So I don't know where people are getting this, like, oh my God, this is like one of the best eras we've ever had in women's wrestling. I don't really see what this big, huge, massive improvement is. I think you've just kind of bought into the brainwashing propaganda of this is the women's revolution. It's a false bill of goods is what it is, and people just bought it hook, line, and sinker. That's pretty much where you get in there. You bought into the bullshit, people, because this is nothing impressive. So she's smiling, she's coming out there dancing all the time. How many dancing wrestlers have we had? You didn't have to have this back in the day. The dancing, like, this is the replacement for the character. This is the replacement for the charisma. Oh, she's dancing. This is her character. No, it's not. It's not a character. This is just having them come out there and just being complete goofs. Same thing with Montez. Like, there's no character there. He's just being a loud, obnoxious idiot. Like, and this is the same thing. They're both smiling for no reason. You think something's wrong with them. They're just always smiling. Hey, like, enough already. It's really two peas in a pod. But then I realize that this is how they're booking everybody. We're going to get to in a moment. Bayley was just beyond obnoxious on commentary. This match was completely worthless. So we're just going to move on here, basically. We got Seth Rollins with, like, what the fuck was this supposed to be? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be AEW and use pointless profanity, but I gotta tell you, what was this? It's first of all, it's Seth Rollins' birthday, and we gotta be honest here. Again, what is with the laughing? And we've got a lot of, like, just really weird parts on this promo that, like, didn't make any sense. First of all, the clip of Cesaro in agony, like, was that supposed to be funny? He plays a clip of some guy groaning, and, like, okay, like, that was a little bit uncomforting, to say the least. Like what were we supposed to? And he's, like, laughing hysterical. Like, I get it, he's a heel, but, like, that couldn't even. And you've got Pat McAfee like giggling at it, even like what? Like, you can't even, like, fake laugh that no one would find that funny. And if you found it funny, then I don't know, seriously, like, Seth Rollins' promo here was just, like, totally off the rails. Like, first of all, he's wearing these stupid ass suits. There's not, the guy doesn't even know what character he's doing it anymore. He's the Messiah, I don't need to have a character because me being a good wrestler is a character. All this, this has just been one just totally obnoxious career from Seth Rollins. How many years have I been talking about this guy? Probably one of the most overrated of all time. He's still better than Kenny Omega, though. But man, I mean, is this guy overrated? Like, this was just a really weird promo. Like, what was the point that was supposed to be conveyed here? Like, he's out there, like, just talking and laughing. And just these, like, I don't know. Like, that was really supposed to be found funny by playing the clip of Cesaro groaning. Then we got Kevin Owens defeating Apollo Crews by disqualification. So Commander Aziz pulls Owens off of Crews. This leads to a disqualification. Big E is nowhere to be found. Sami Zayn is nowhere to be found. And Aleister Black, who returned last week, he went back into the smoke, I guess, and he disappeared. He's not even reading a book. No story time, no cartoons from Aleister Black. He's just gone. What a triumphant return that was, just to not be seen anymore. Like, okay, like, you know, you wait for like a whole year. Well, I wasn't waiting, but some other people were, for Aleister Black's return. The guy returns, like, and he's back to being gone again. No vignettes, no nothing, and Big E's not there. I don't know, maybe he was sick, maybe he was doing something, like, I don't know. Like, nowadays it always seems like, oh, he wasn't there because he was doing something. Maybe because they didn't know what the fuck to do with him. That's probably what it was. Not like I'm missing the guy or anything, but like, you know, what happened here? Like, they were starting to tell a story. This is what I'm talking about last week. Oh, why did he interfere in the match? You know, why did he attack Big E? Well, you're not going to know. Remember I said they were going to have some type of explanation for this? And guess what? There wasn't even an explanation because they didn't even fucking show him. So there goes that one. You know, are they going to do it next week when no one cares? Like, what was on this show that was so important that they couldn't follow it up? Oh, you know, we got to have Tamina and Natalya against the Riot Squad. Oh, you got to have that one. God forbid they didn't have that match. God forbid we didn't have that award-winning Seth Rollins promo. Oh, tremendous. Couldn't skip that one. Then we've got, oh my God. We've got, first we move on. Kevin Owens. Talk about a fall from grace. Talk about a start again, stop again kind of thing. Can we review this guy's career? He beats Cena. He wins the world title. Then he goes and wrestles AJ Styles 1,000 times for the United States title. Then we see the guy is, you know, he's getting into a feud with Shane McMahon. He beats up Vince McMahon. You think that this is going to lead to something huge for Owens. You know, maybe he's not just going to be a worthless fat slob for the rest of his career. Oh, he goes right back to it. You know, then he teams up with Zayn and all that. And then they put him back in the world title picture randomly. And then we're being told that he's the successor to the Stunner. And that he's, you know, going to be the next Stone Cold. Like, okay, no one that could hold a straight face. No one could hold a straight face saying that. No one that was, you know, is serious with themselves actually took that serious. But some people believed it. And here we are, and he's back to being just a worthless, fat mid-carder. I mean, this guy, he's just such a worthless sack of shit. I mean, he truly is. The guy has no interest in being presented like a star, looking like a star, working out like a star. He's just worthless. Just a big fat bozo. That's all I see when I look at Owens. A big fat bozo. Because seriously, you know, I ain't going to be nice here. Is the guy nice by, you know, showing up on TV looking like a sack of garbage? You know, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on too. So we got Mcafee here with Boogs. And, you know, like, he's not even playing the theme very well on the guitar anyway. Like, this is like amateur hour here. It's like, and even, you know, at the end of this match, like, first of all, like, again, the sound was completely off. The tone on the guitar just sounded completely awful. The fact that Boogs is there, like, just Boogs existing is just You know, like first of all, who is this guy? Why is he here? Why is he with Mcafee? This is like, because we can't get him over. We can't get Mcafee over with anybody but the internet smarks. So we're going to throw a random guitarist here, the Old Spice commercial guy. Throw him out there. Give him a stupid name. And like, what is this going to even do for anyone here? He stole his crown. He stole Baron Corbin's crown. And here we're having a random match with Chad Gable. I will say that this match was like 3 minutes. And it was actually really good. I actually really thought this was like I wish all the matches could be like this. Get in, get out. This was like an Attitude Era match on Raw. Beautiful. You can accomplish so much with a sense of urgency to it. Not these long, dragged out, boring matches that are so terrible that they don't even deserve half the time that they're given. Then Rey Mysterio gets attacked backstage. Okay, and you know, we know it's the Dirty Dogs. Dominik comes out and he's got a 2-on-1 handicap match against the Dirty Dogs. Okay. So, you know, they're dominating him for the most of it. Rey Mysterio eventually appears on the stage. It's a distraction, and he rolls up Bobby Roode, or Robert Roode, however you want to refer to him as. Jobber Roode at this point. I mean, how can they do... Like, first, okay, a lot of things to discuss here. A lot of things to unpack, okay? We're getting back from vacation. It's time to unpack here. So, we've got a guy like Dominik, who is a total David Flair, and I've said this almost every single time, but here's the thing about this guy. I've said it, like, you're presenting me this guy, he's wearing the old Seth Rollins body armor suit, he looks like complete garbage, this guy has, like, never worked out a day in his life, and his dad is jacked, so, you know, you're telling me that this guy is the successor to Rey Mysterio. I'm not believing it. Also, he's got a really bland look to him. The face is just bland as hell. The whole entire look is bland. He is bland. And this is the same thing with David Flair. He looked bland too. He also looked like shit. You know? Maybe David Flair was in a little bit better shape. I have to go and like Google some images of him. But from what I remember, the guy was never in as good a shape as his dad. And it goes without saying that this guy is well on his way to being the next David Flair. And it's the same thing that gave David Flair a lot of screen time on WCW. A lot of big moments with David Flair, right? A lot of big moments with his father, just like Dominik. A lot of big moments with Daddy right there. But you know what? Having him just like get the best of two guys that were world champions at one point in their respective careers. And I know Dolph Ziggler's like world title run was a complete mess, and Bobby Roode's was an Impact, so a lot of people, you know, go, with Impact, but like, when Bobby Roode was a main eventer over there, he definitely looked like a main eventer, he was treated as a main eventer, and I bought him as a main eventer. And, you know, whatever happened, you know, somewhere along the way, they just decided that, you know, I don't know what it is. I thought it was Impact syndrome, like, you know, that all the Impact guys would get buried. But you see Bobby Lashley, and, you know, they're treating him pretty well for the most part, it seems like. So I don't know what it is with Robert Roode, Bobby Roode, like, where they just treat him like total trash. Like, when he first came in, like, you know, they were giving him the U.S. title, they were giving him the Mania match, like, you know, they're like, okay, well, they're not treating him like a main eventer, but they're treating him like an upper mid-card guy, so at least he's, like, somewhere, you know, being treated like he's a guy, you know, somewhat higher up on the roster. But, you know, then somewhere along the line, it completely fell apart. Now he's been in this pointless tag team with Ziggler for like a year and a half. Ziggler with this braided section of his hair that, like, that's, what was it? Like, it was red, white, and blue. I saw this on Instagram. Like, I've said it time and time again. Could we stop doing... First, he had the Ray Skywalker thing going on with the multiple ponytails. Him and John Morrison, like, these guys, they look like $1 million. And they're making themselves look like they're worth 2 cents with these stupid little dumb fashions like that they're coming up with. These hairstyles that just make them look like retards. Like, there I said it. They look like retards. They do. They look dumb. Yeah, Morrison, maybe a little worse with shaving the word drip in the side of his head. Like he's some kind of clueless rapper, you know. And then you've got Ziggler, like, just the colorful hair. Like, is this something we need to be doing here? Like really? Like, you look at him and he looks like a clown. You're looking like a clown doing that. Same goes for Morrison. All right, so we've touched on this. Now we've, trashed everyone's appearance and everything like that. So let's go on and trash the announcing. Pat McAfee. Okay, so, I will say this. At least the guy is trying to be a little bit more energetic than the normal person. And, I've been listening, the analysis, of Ben Hameen and Stevie Richards. And, they seem like they know a lot, like, from listening to the Raw and SmackDown reviews that they do every week. And they talked about McAfee. And I understand this guy's a big podcaster. And, he's known for, having a good voice and everything like that and being very informative. But, and people talked about his promos in NXT. And, okay, all right, great. So we've said time and time again, some of these announcers may not be doing the best that they can because of the limitations placed on them on Vince. Vince is always in their ear all the time. Can I say something, though? What about Mauro Ranallo? I'm sure that Vince was screaming in his ear all the time, but how was it that guy was so much better than this guy and so much better than everyone else? And I said it time and time again that Mauro Ranallo, if they stuck with this guy and whatever it may have been that, JBL didn't bully him, and maybe if the guy, unfortunately didn't have so many mental health issues, he probably could have gotten, I don't want to ever say that he could get to the level of JR. Very few can, but he could have definitely got up to the level of being a pretty good announcer. But, whatever happened along the way, they sent him to NXT, which I didn't watch. But, I saw the clips, and Pat McAfee is copying him. And I'm not the first one to say this. I know that. I think people said it in my comments even. But the camera was specifically positioned during this match so they could catch McAfee, standing up. Okay, first of all, Mauro Ranallo didn't stand up for the whole entire match. This guy is standing up constantly through the whole, like, sit your ass down already. Like, he's standing up through this whole match when nothing even that exciting is going on. We're watching a handicap match with a guy that looks like, a really, really, really watered down Rey Mysterio. And he's getting all out of sorts. I mean, this guy was trying to act like this thing was like a world title match. He was trying to act like this was like, this was like Stone Cold and The Rock at WrestleMania 17. Like this was Bret Hart coming back and wrestling in a great match. Like something like that. Like, this was a ridiculous reaction, like putting way too much into something. Like, you can't be full force energy on every single thing, just going completely over the top. Can you imagine if JR was like screaming through a Kai match or something like that? Just completely just going completely off the rails. And enough with the standing up. This just seems like it's compensating for, like, you're just not knowing how to react properly during these shows. And I get it, it's better than what we had. It's better than Brian Sex Addict. It's better than Corey Graves. It's better than Michael Schmoll. It's just like, dear Lord. It's just, commentary is still bad. Okay? He's not that good. He's really being overrated by a lot of people. I mean, I see a lot of people in comments saying, oh, he's doing a really good job. No. Look, He's trying to piece some type of personality together, and it's not working at all. I mean, you know, some of it is more Ronaldo, and then the rest is just like, I don't know what it is, but like, seriously, sit down already, man. God, like, and this is ridiculous victory roll finish. Every match ending with some type of roll up, and this is how he beats Bobby Roode. This guy looks like a complete schmuck, beating a guy that looks like Bobby Roode. And then the Usos coming out at the end, and you know, we see Roman Reigns looking on, and God. Oh, what a terrible show. What a worthless show. Nothing was accomplished on this show at all. And also, like, where are they going with Roman Reigns? Like, is there anything happening with Roman on this show? Like, he's back there and he's, like, disapproving of Jey Uso, you know, being in the match with Jimmy. And that's all we get. Like, there's no build or anything for his match. Because he, like, I guess he doesn't have Cesaro, you know, to contend with anymore because he's going to be preoccupied with Rollins. So in the meantime, they don't have an opponent for Roman Reigns. He's got no one that he's going to go up against. So, like, oh, this is great. And, like, you look at, like, the field here, besides Edge, who's nowhere to be found, and I'm reading online that the guy is not injured. He's just not scheduled to appear. So, okay, I mean, so you don't have anyone else, so wouldn't it be a good idea maybe pay him for a few extra dates? You know, I mean, if you got the money to get Cardi B over onto SummerSlam, don't you think that maybe you should probably tell Edge, oh, we kind of need you because there's no one else to feud with Reigns. Reigns is just kind of, you know, talking to Jey, and it's like, okay, it's interesting that it's the family and everything, but like, that's even starting to wear thin. He's mad at him because, you know, it's not Jey is, you know, tagging with his brother, you know, instead of being his right-hand man, and he's preoccupied. Like, okay, this is kind of thin stuff. We're not really getting anything. And Reigns is the champion with no opponent here. Like, no one to feud with. Like, no one in sight. So, I don't know. This was a complete trash episode of SmackDown. Complete garbage. They can't even stay consistent with Aleister Black showing up. And that's the way they went off the air. And they can't even follow up on that. Can't even follow up on that. You got to be kidding me. I mean, what a complete and utter joke. Wasn't that the way how they ended it last week? Oh, no, wait. Did they? No, yeah, they did end it that way last week. I still have it written down here. They ended it with Aleister. So you would think the way they end the show, they're going to probably... That's almost a guarantee. Nowhere to be found on this show. Holy cannoli. What a farce. Anyway, guys, hope you all enjoyed the review. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.